Good afternoon. Welcome. Did you see the dichotomy of good versus evil today as we read in the one-year Bible? I saw this perfect dichotomy and the struggles we face with our human condition. My name's Wendy Hauser. I'm with Dream Big Today, and this is my Noon Nugget. I'm reading out of the one-year Bible. It's the Tyndale version, New Living Translation, and we read it together as a community to get through the Bible in a year, and then we have our Bible studies and Noon Nuggets to discuss it. So today we are looking at November 15th, and we're going to be looking a little bit out of Ezekiel chapter 31. And we are also going to be looking a little bit out of Hebrews chapter 12 and Proverbs. So as I read today, and I was processing everything that I read, and I was kind of praying to the Lord, I really was able to see this good versus evil. But it wasn't just good versus evil. It was the struggle we face as humans. It is the human condition. See, there's the human nature, which is our different traits and characteristics and all of these things. And we all have different experiences and things like that. But there is one thing that we all have in common. I don't care where you live on the earth. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how much money you have or how poor you are. I don't care how big you are or how little you are. The one thing that you will encounter as part of this human condition is our battle with good versus evil. The moral challenges that we face in this life. Every one of us have to make those choices for ourselves. And I see today in Proverbs, let's go ahead and start. No, I actually want to start we'll just start at the beginning in Ezekiel. So we see today, and another thing that I thought was really interesting is yesterday I was talking about, remember how I talked about the tree and how God grows us and strengthens us, and without God we're weak like the Pharaoh was, like a reed that will just break? Well, today God likened us unto a tree. And I thought, that's perfect timing, right? That was great. So in Ezekiel, God says to the Pharaoh of Egypt through Ezekiel, "You are like mighty Assyria, which was once like a cedar of Lebanon, with beautiful branches that cast deep forest shade, and with its top high among the clouds." And then it says, "No tree in the garden of God came close to it in its beauty, because I made this tree so beautiful and gave it such magnificent foliage." And I think that was one of the biggest downfalls, or it is the biggest downfall, I think, of a lot of people, is they forget that God is the one that made them. God is the one, through His grace, gives us all that we have and all that we are. And when we forget that, we start to take the credit for ourselves. And we start to think that, hey, I'm pretty awesome, and I made the Nile River, and I grew this tree. And we become arrogant and prideful. And we lose sight of God. In fact, it says, because Egypt became proud and arrogant, and because it set itself so high above the others, with its tops reaching to the clouds, I will hand it over to a mighty nation that will destroy it as its wickedness deserves. When we lose sight of God, we allow the enemy a foothold. and our minds do start to turn towards ourselves, turning inwards, and we become proud and we become arrogant. We start thinking we're better than other people. We put ourselves above them. And then wickedness just begins to pervade us. And it goes on to say that if that's the path we choose, we will descend to the pit. That God told Pharaoh and the people that they would descend to the pit with all the others when they go down to the grave. And it's a good reminder that no matter what you have in this world, or how high and mighty or beautiful or rich or powerful, that after this world fades away, we are all on the same level plane. And we will all be faced with the exact same rewards or consequences, the exact same judgment. It says in Hebrews that God is a devouring fire. Now here's what we see here today. We do also see Old Testament versus New Testament. Okay? That was before Christ. But today we have Christ, who can redeem us from those things. But we still have to make that choice. If we reject God, we reject Christ, we reject what he offers, it's like we're living Old Testament times, because we're not accepting the gift that Christ gave us. And so we look in Hebrews today, and back to the comparison of the tree, it says in Hebrews chapter 12, looks like verse 15, "Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many." And Elizabeth talked a little bit about this morning, but I thought about that poisonous root. If we are a tree and we allow poisonous root to take hold and we don't cut it off and get rid of it, that poison will spread throughout our whole body. And it says, make sure that no one is immoral or godless, like Esau. And it talks about Esau and Edom, but it's also with Egypt and all of that, He's saying don't become immoral and godless, because that's where we lose our strength. That's where we lose our morals. That's where we lose all of the goodness that God has to offer us. And it says in Hebrews that if we choose God, essentially, I'm summing it up. If we choose God, it says, this means that all of creation will be shaken and removed so that only unshakable things will remain. So at the end, all of these earthly things are going to be gone, and it's just going to be us in front of God. Since we're receiving a kingdom that is unshakable, let us be thankful and please God by worshiping him with holy fear and awe. When we choose God, if we choose God, he promises us through his son, Jesus Christ, and what he did for us on the cross, that we will receive a kingdom that is unshakable, that we will receive the kingdom of God. So we see the evil and its consequences versus the good and its rewards. We see that today in the reading. And then we jump over to Proverbs 27:18 today. It says, as workers who tend a fig tree are allowed to eat the fruit, so workers who protect their employer's interests will be rewarded. And there's the tree again. And so I think about a worker, and, imagine that you own an orchard and you tell your employees that they can eat what they need for the day, but to take care of all of the rest. And you trust them to do that. And when they do, you reward them. But imagine if one of your workers not only took advantage of your kindness and goodness and took all of those things, but then they stole from you. They were deceitful. They went behind your back. They corrupted other people and turned their hearts against you. And they tried to destroy your vineyard. How would you feel about that person? I believe that's a good representation of us with God. God is the owner of the vineyard. And what are we going to do in that vineyard? Will we love and appreciate the beautiful, wonderful gifts that he gives us and do the good things and be rewarded? Or will we choose to go against him? That's kind of what I see today. And that's what we face with this human condition, is what are we gonna choose? Good versus evil. It says in Proverbs 27:18, as a face is reflected in water, so the heart reflects the real person. By their fruits you will know them. What's in your heart will be made manifest through your actions, your words. Where is your heart? And just as death and destruction, this is verse 20, Proverbs 27:20, just as death and destruction are never satisfied, so human desire is never satisfied. We will never be satisfied if we only focus on the human desires and the things of this world. We will never be satisfied. No money will ever be enough. No fame, no glory, no recognition, no compliments. None of it will ever be enough without God. But when we focus on God, he promises the joy and the peace, that peace, the satisfaction, to where we will be satisfied. And he will feed at the roots of the tree with his living water. He will nourish us and grow us and strengthen us. And then in the end, we will be rewarded. And that is my new nugget. We all have a choice. And I choose God. And I hope you choose God. And if you don't know God, I just encourage you to seek him out. Take time in the Word, get to know him, and get to know how wonderful he is as a master of the vineyard. And that he will grow you to be a beautiful, mighty tree of Lebanon. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Please leave your comments. I will respond to those. And if you have a new nugget that you got today in our readings, I'd love to hear those. And if you'd share those in the comments. And I hope you have a wonderful day.